Good morning, good morning. Welcome to episode 5. I think it's 5. Today's going to be a super quick one because it's Sunday. Nothing happens on Sunday. So we've got the Sunday Times. I'm going to do this super quick. Looks like Fremantle won. Whoop-de-doo, we've got more Mother's Day stuff. It's all good. Jailhouse rats. Now I had a quick little skim through this before. That's just crazy. We've got, our jail is infested with rats. Yeah. That's go WA. We've got. I'd love to see some incarceration records, like what that looked like. What the say we take everyone who went into jail during the pandemic, what they went to jail for, and like a list of those things. I think that would be interesting. My guess is there's a lot of kind of drug / like kind of stuff that's just, you know, during a complete worldwide health crisis. I don't know why we decided to crack down harder, but my assumption is that we did. So yeah, I'd love to see some public statements about exactly how many people went to jail and for what kind of offences. That'd be interesting. What else have we got? Slow progress in China tariffs. So this is apparently China has some things that they are not going to buy off us. Again, it's like where are we headed in that whole model? Like, why are we trying to sell to China in this day and age? Yeah. What does our longer term strategy look like? And if it's tourism, then, you know, I think we're missing some options there. We're not it's the whole thing. It's this whole monopoly monopoly society that we've built is impatient. It's incredibly impatient. It seems like we've lost, like we're here because of patience and improvements in technology, like all these reasons that got us here, and we're here doing this, and we're sitting here where I can talk to you like this every day for basically nothing. Why have we just whittled ourselves down to this type of arrangement on a macro scale? Why can't we? Yeah. Anyway, such a complicated little pie that we happen to find ourselves in. Rent crisis is laid bare. Again, it's like you're missing. I had a good think about this last night about the rental supply. What's happening, in my belief, or what's gonna happen, is you're missing a cultural shift that's about to happen, that's coming. It's been steadily happening generation after generation after generation. We had a generation of like boomers that were, you know, babies after the war, and they've had a big run where they've benefited basically from not having to go and get shot like their ancestors. and then they've made the world in their image, and their image looks like it does. But year and year on, every year we go forward, a bigger gap comes between what that generation decided that they want us to do, the lower generations, and the power to which they can enforce that. And we're getting to a spot where we're literally ripping off the next generation, like permanently disabling them in the world market at a time when the basic human needs are so easily met financially, and the educational needs of someone are so easily provided for, that we're just progressing down this same path that emerged, and then we're actively slowing down and stopping basically any alternative type situation. So one of the things is, like, I know from building, I know from logistics, I know from construction, you can build like a self-contained dwelling that is movable, that's quite small, that has everything you need, completely self-sustaining, for like next to nothing. And that can be dropped in, mass produced somewhere in one location, and then dropped in basically anywhere. And that could be an arrangement to fix this, like a mass produced, like movable dwelling type thing that you can either, like, so then the homeowner can either get it, or even the person can get it, and then have just arrangements like open up to the legality of that and make it not permanent. Like, so someone, they might not be able to buy a house, but they can buy, like, surely they can get finance to buy one of these fucking dwellings, like a tiny house, but just way just like a mass-produced version of that. And then you just plonk that wherever, so they can buy one of them and have that, and then they can kind of function without this huge burden on their back, so they can use the time that they have to improve for the people that aren't going to be here when the boomers are long gone. And if we don't start like squeezing a wedge in that, we're going to be destroyed by their greediness. And it's just, unfortunately, I think it just has something to do, like, this is an unprecedented time that we find ourselves, like, it's the funniest thing I notice, the further I go into it, if I try and see a really clear picture of where we're at, it just gets more and more frightening. And then, like, if you come from the time before, like a few generations ago, right? So we had VCRs that were like, you had TV, and then we could like have VCRs. That was like that's a huge thing at that time. But VCRs weren't going to completely open up the potential to completely redesign the entire world. But some of these technologies, like the one I'm using now, they're just so clearly going to do that. You're going to be dealing with, like, you cannot stop them. Like, this attempt, I don't know whether this was an attempt to just like temporarily slow it down so you could make some money and then bail out, but like, there's going to be mass rejection of the systems. There just is going to be, because the equation is really simple, like, especially to a young person, not to all of them, but just to a growing number of people. They're just going to be like, fuck this. This is stupid. I 100% would have done that and fully committed to it if I didn't have children. And then the thing becomes, so I had children, did the responsible thing, And that is what kept me in this weird system where I was basically like working my ass off, like destroyed my mind and my body for nothing. And that is where everyone is. It doesn't take much to build the things that you just need. And so what, like, we're participating in this global dance of resources and money, but it's like, money gets really complicated when you start moving it around to different countries, because it's not one unit. It's transferred. It works differently in different. It's insane. Even like using that as, there are other ways to like defend against potential, things, and they're not based on how big your bank balance is. It's just, that's a fucking scam. That's a war scam that's just been invented and is going around. It's like we're an interconnected society of people that will defend our land base however we can. So it's like every person on the ground is basically has the potential to be like a super soldier, like a super ordnance thing. We have complete communication, as long as we just had models down. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud and it's getting really weird because it's gone off. This is how I think. That's a little, but that's just what I think on there. There's some chainsaws, rent crisis. Did I get to that? I must have got to there. Rent crisis is laid bare. Yeah. It's silly. It's crazy. And then we've got an ex-Eagles player, looks like it. He's ripped a bunch of people off. In a building company, and then is still holidaying around. It's fucking insane. Anyway. It's the same with this soulless, like we're just these fucking systems. I can't just, just as the money moves. I think because I have an insight into the full picture of how the sausage is made, I just get really frustrated with the way that I see money moving around. I actually think we're going to get away from that money being like the benchmark for success, because it's what people are doing is they're just really temporarily cutting corners, getting to the money position, and then trying to then use like ideology and jumping on whatever's the hot social item at the moment, and then just making an attempt to appear like they're doing something to that. That's bullshit. It's greenwashing, but in like it's what greenwashing was in like the early 2000s, and now it's like basically psychopathic fucking lunatics trying to greenwash in this way that they're just missing the point that some people do know what's going on, and that we can just like shine in and be like, this is dumb. Why are you doing that? Doesn't work. This does nothing. The accounting is not up to scratch to catch out this kind of bullshit. It is too easy to get around. It's just, So that means we have to culturally emerge. Like, this is what no one ever realizes, that this is the main mechanism that shapes society. It's not media, it's culture steers the ship. And culture is like the surface of a pond. You know what I mean? A lot of time, or the surface of the ocean. A lot of times, I mean, almost every time you go to the ocean, it looks different. But it's still the ocean. You know what I mean? But the top of it changes, and then that changes everything else. And that's what we're missing. We're missing everyone, it seems, is missing the fact that there is 100% a culture change coming up. And it's going to be a really like flat one. There's just going to be lots of like people going, nah, I want to figure something else out, and just doing it. And they're able to document that to the world, like, very easily. It's going to get out there. The only thing that's missing of stopping that going completely crazy is the people's own fear, because you built a system that they're afraid to not align with, which is, it's silly. You can't keep going up the line like that. That might work if you're in like a restaurant. You're like, I've designed my restaurant so people want to stay here and have a dessert and have a coffee. So it's, that's okay. When you design this really simplistic model of how like society's meant to organize themselves, and then actively stop any alternative, you're filtering down our potential for readjustment to our new environment, which is constantly changing. We change it. So you can't be in power and be enforcing rules that worked 40 years ago with the new people that are emerging now. And because one of the things is, because the generations are coming out less and less stressed, because they have everything they need, like in crazy amounts. So they're not hostile. They're not going to overthrow you. So you're just basically using the fact that these generations are coming out less, with less violent tendencies, less tendencies towards all types of like anything antisocial. That means they might not be wanting to go along, but they're just not going to go over the top antisocial with it. And then you're using that to squish them into the model that you fuckers built 50 years ago, or started building 50 years ago, which is stupid. And then you're trying to protect that like it's the fucking castle of whatever. But now everyone is just trying that version, and there's just going to be a mass especially somewhere like Australia, especially somewhere like Perth. You want to try and squeeze everyone into some shitty little dog box when we live in like a gigantic landmass like we do, and we have the capability to, put up like off-grid pods for 50 grand in the middle of fucking nowhere. You can't do that. You're gonna lose the whole thing. These things, they're not like the people out there wanting to get and still getting it. This is what's fucked. It's like everyone's like, yeah, we're booming. We're going through a fucking problem. Like, yeah, look how much money the investors making. They're making that much money because they think they can get away with it. As soon as you tell them to fuck off and say, hey, we're not fucking paying that, and if we don't pay that, then no one else will fucking pay that, your whole fucking thing will disappear. We're going to find other ways to fucking sort ourselves out temporarily, while you selfish fuckers actually salvage what you have got, get out of this online global casino mentality, and start going, yeah, I'm going to use my resources to build the foundation better for the generations below. It's utter madness. Even the societal structures are changing to be like everyone's an individual. There's no rights for parents. There's no, fuck that. Fuck that. We're not in a hatchery. We're not in an Ingham hatchery hopping out of an incubator in an egg, just like bop, 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 bop. You try and do that shit, and I will fucking literally you fuck off. Do not try and do that. You're missing the whole thing. If this thing, you've got to open up avenues for people that are way smarter than you. Way smarter in every level. Smarter than you can even fucking fathom. You know what I mean? And you're sitting there in basically the equivalent of a horse and cart, and there is a fucking joint airstrike fighter up your fucking ass. And that's everyone. And the people in businesses doing this shit, you're just setting the example for everyone else around you. So you're going to tank the entire fucking economy by you being some greedy dickhead that doesn't realize the fucking internet was actually invented. This is a hard pill to swallow. A very massive, hard, giant fucking pill to swallow. But you need to. Because you live in an endless chain of generations that just keeps emerging, has always been allowed to emerge to its environment within, this has always been a part. There's always been a part of control. But that control was for the first type of control, like what I'm saying, you can go back to the churches where the priests were the only one that could read this language and they were the ones that decreed it down. That wasn't about control, I don't think. I think it was kind of about control, but it was more about we can't lose this. If we just let everyone in doing this with these books that take fucking someone sitting down for 2 years to write, and they were just really valuable resources, and so they protected, and then they benefited from that, from keeping that going and protecting it. That's what they do. If you want to know what the Vatican is a fucking highly guarded museum that's really, really important. And if it wasn't as guarded, it wouldn't be there. Someone would have fucking ganked it at some point. So it's that's control. But the point I'm making is that the same thing can be applied to every, the Vatican doesn't anymore. This is it. They're not, they try and convince people to become Catholic. That's, whatever. But they're not actively shutting down, I would hope, anymore, alternative emerging groups of people, because they know that they're never going to be able to do that. And then there becomes a time when emerging whatever groups just look at this one group and say, let's just unify as one. They know that, so they're not, they've been off that train for a long time. But in the business world, if you stay on that, you are in real time setting up apartheid / concentration / communist, whatever, with 6 million freaking cameras out there, able to document it in real time. You're going to go down that track. You're going to get halfway through it. You're going to have everyone standing around you with a camera going, what are you doing? It's people. I get really, sometimes I have a lot of trouble trying to navigate what I should just say, because potentially I think some of the things I'm saying could be really dangerous. So nothing I'm saying should be just rushed off to and just, it should be thought about. I am a counter to the very one-sided views, and that's what I am. And the fact that I'm sitting here in a very dark, dusty corner of the internet doing this type of thing kind of shows how strong this is. But don't feel like you need to jump in line with a thing that has been harmoniously working. Don't reject society completely ever, because society is like the top of the ocean, the surface of the water. Society has always been there, but it always looks very, very different. And that's in lots of different ways. So we need to start getting used to the fact of looking at the current arrangements of housing, food, all these things, and know that they are very flexible. They can be like a giant Jenga tower. You can get in there and move those things around to young innovators that are out there. Those are not permanent fixtures. Nothing in it is. This arrangement now that we have where people are renting their houses out so people can have houses, other alternatives can be suggested and brought through and worked into deals. You do not have to jump into this system. This system is crap. It is crap. It actually is the hardest for the people that most deserve it, and it's the easiest for the people that most don't deserve it. And it just is that, because the people that are getting to positions, you go through so many points where you have to compromise your values that by the time you're up there, you're just completely compromised. But in my few generations below, I'm just like, you're all so completely exposed. You're sitting there exposed in 360 degrees. People are gonna know now. If you just, the page I read before, this person's ripped off all these people with patios and they're fucking going on a holiday to the Swiss Alps. It's this kind of shit that made me know I could do this strategy. I'm sitting on a floor in a fucking 100-year-old house, getting my house ready, and I'm doing that publicly. You're not going to get away with the old sneaky out the back door, rip everyone off trick anymore. Yeah. Especially I have 4 or 5 clients, I think, that was there. Whatever, because I just saw the writing on the wall of this whole thing going to happen. It's if you've got, and it's I think it's $11,000, which is a lot of money, but it's not that much money when you fucking compare it to some of these building companies that are sitting on whatever they're sitting on, knowing they can't fucking do it. Knowing. And then doing the same thing I'm doing, except balls to the wall going on a fucking trip, because you can do that. It's really hard because there are ways in business that we need to be able to take risk. but not this much risk. You know what everyone's just done that all at the same time. They're all taking this giant risk and doing that. And now we're just going to be left with a bunch of people collapsing, basically going, I can't do anything anymore because I don't know what's coming around the they don't understand this move. And they haven't stayed within limits that are fucking acceptable. It's God damn it. And we don't have saving Batman coming to jump in and develop the place. Or maybe we do, or maybe that's the whole point. Maybe I just want to see some more clarity on the actual trajectory that these government entities are trying to take us all on. If I jump on a fucking ferry, I want to know where it's going. Where the fuck are we going? Because if we're not going where I want to go, I'm getting the fuck off, you stupid fairy. Right? So I want to know exactly what is, like, what? Show me some pictures. Show me some, like, some actual thing of where are we heading? Because otherwise we're just like idling and shaking parts off. Anyway, small one for a Sunday. Hope you're having a great weekend. I'll talk to you later.